I'd like to invite the panelists for this session. First, I'd like to invite Mr. Ishan Sahajpal from CII. Please join us. Dr. Mahesh Kumar from CSIR. Sir, please join us on the stage. Mr. Pankaj Goyal, CEO and co-founder of AutoNxt Automation. Please. And Mr. Ivy Rao, Distinguished Fellow at TERI. And Ms. Krithika PR, Program Lead Electric Vehicles, ICCT, will be the moderator for this session. Yeah, there's one extra chair. Almas, is this fine? Seating? Or should I remove one chair? Yeah, Ishan. May I request the speakers if we can shift one turn this side? I'll move one chair out. Okay.
A very warm welcome to all the participants and the esteemed panelists who have joined us today to advance the conversation on this important topic, which is essentially looking at technology, policy and infrastructure for electric tractors. So we are now moving from the on-roads conversation to the off-road segment now, and I know that it's been a long day, and very thankful to all the people who've stayed back and listened through all the sessions very patiently. So thank you for your patience. Before I begin with the discussion, I just wanted to take a moment to sort of reflect on why this conversation on electric tractors is important and why we are actually having a discussion on this topic. So on the one side, I feel that there is a considerable problem that we have, like tractors account for nearly 8% of India's diesel consumption. And diesel tractors are primarily contributing to a lot of pollution, emissions. And on the development of standards, again, India's lagged the other leading nations in the development of emission norms for tractors. But on the other side, it's not all doom and gloom. We also have significant potential for electrification of this particular segment. There's a huge opportunity. India, in fact, is one of the leading markets for electric tractors, and this gives us an opportunity for increasing our exports. Like any segment which is, taking its first initial steps towards electrification, this sector is also beset with a lot of challenges on technology, on cost, on policy, on financing, a range of, issues that we will be getting into in this session. I think on that note, I invite Arvind to make the context-setting presentation. So over to you, Arvind.
Thank you. Thank you, Krithika. If I can have the slide over here, please. Yeah. So, India produces about 1 million tractors annually, and about 15% of the production is exported outside. And you see this spiky graph because domestically the demand for tractors is aligned with the festival season, which is also linked to the harvesting season, around April, May and September, October. So at ICCT, we tried to model the emissions from the non-road segment. Non-road segment including not just agricultural tractors, but also construction and mining vehicles. So here we found some interesting results where the emissions from the PM 2.5 and NOx emissions from non-road segment will exceed the on-road segment by 2030. This highlights the need for focusing on this segment. You see this graph, this sort of trend, because the standards for on-road vehicles is far more stringent than non-road vehicles. Right now, India has TREM 4 standards. Broadly, loosely, I could call it as BS4 emissions. So while transport vehicles are at BS6, on non-road segment, especially agricultural tractors, is at BS4. And this TREM 4 standards were supposed to come in 2021. When this modeling exercise was done in 2016, the standards were supposed to come in 2021, but they came in January 2023. And TREM 5 emission standards were supposed to come in April this year. Now they've been postponed to April 2026. So again, postponed by 2 years. So the intensity of this PM and NOx emissions that was modeled in 2016, the situation is going to be far worse because our standards have been delayed again. So the interest in electric tractors in India is currently limited, despite a huge array of benefits that could bring in for farmers, the governments, and even manufacturers. For instance, farmers, as electric powertrain offers in the transport sector also, in the non-road segment also, there's significant lower operational costs, which the benefits which could be availed by the users, lower fuel costs, and significantly lower vibrations, and lower exposure to diesel fumes. So there is empirical evidence on cardiovascular health impact of diesel tractors on farmers. There are studies, Indian studies, which show that Indian farmers have hearing impairment on the right eye because the exhaust of a tractor is on the right side. So there are significant health benefits also that the farmers could avail with electric tractors. Then the last point, the higher productivity, there is still, we are waiting for empirical evidence, more evidence from the ground that as electric motor is able to give constant torque at variable speeds, can electric tractor do the same amount of work in lesser time? So we look forward to these insights from the manufacturers present here. For the government, of course, straightforward, there's lower pollutant emissions, lower exposure to the rural populations. Also, as India is responsible for 2% of the world trade of tractors, India is the 15th largest exporter in the world. So, and with changing global environment, more regulations abroad, India has the potential to have a global strategic advantage by producing low emission tractors, electric tractors. About 5%, as I mentioned earlier, 5% of HSD in high-speed diesel in India is consumed by tractors. So there is energy security benefits also that could be availed if we move away from using diesel here. For manufacturers, again, there is growing market to tap. India right now exports to 159 countries. India exports tractors to 159 countries. And there are growing, improving standards and growing push for electrification, especially in the US and EU. And a quarter of Indian tractor exports are to the US. E-tractors, as I've been saying on all the previous slides, e-tractors needs a policy push. As of now, there is no incentives offered for electric tractors in FAME 2. FAME 3, we will wait and see if ever there is a provision for electric tractors in FAME 3. Electric tractors GST is still at 12%, while all other EVs are taxed at 5%. There is subsidized agricultural electricity supplied for irrigation in rural areas in many states like Punjab, Telangana and all. But this is not extended for e-tractor charging. In fact, governments are scared that this electricity might be used for e-tractor charging. E-tractors are not included in central and state schemes subsidizing diesel tractors. So India subsidizes diesel tractors in schemes like submission on agricultural mechanization, where the focus is on increasing agricultural productivity. So even those schemes by agriculture departments, electric tractors are not included there. There is, as we all know, rural charging infrastructure is absent. As we go, as Krithika mentioned in the morning, from now we move from transport from road vehicles to non-road. So as we move to non-road, especially in the tractor space, now it's not just the transport departments, but it's also the agricultural departments who've been driving transition, mechanization in these sectors. So they have a large role to play here. So there is a need for agri-EV policy coherence, which is absent at the moment. And of course, there are limited availability of homologated or approved e-tractor models. Just another data point, last financial year, there were 1.6 million electric vehicles registered in India. Out of that, there were only 4, single digit 4 were electric tractors, despite models being launched maybe 3-4 years ago. But there are states who are trying to drive the initiative. For instance, Haryana is offering subsidy up to 50%, up to 5 lakhs, 50% subsidy up to 5 lakhs for the first 1,000 units. This policy came out in 2022. Even till date, not a single tractor has availed this subsidy. Telangana offers subsidy on road tax and registration fee. And Punjab offers additional incentives for setting up anchor units for manufacturing tractors specifically, e-tractors specifically. So this is the status quo of how the states are trying to promote electric tractors. But talking more on the cost front, I would like to invite my colleague Sunita to discuss more on the total cost of ownership. This is an analysis that we had done a couple of years ago on diesel tractor versus electric tractors. Please.
Thanks, Aravind. So basically, as we have seen, the off-road environment like agriculture, they present more challenges, and the electrification in this sector is slower compared to on-road vehicles. However, the cost of running tractors becomes very, very crucial in demonstrating the economic advantage of electric tractors or e-tractors. And we did an exercise in 2021 based on some of the hypothetical incentives which are currently not there. And while there are uncertainties regarding the total cost of ownership of electric tractors versus diesel, our study on a 10-year TCO in India shows that fueling costs are the largest expense for both types. So this is followed by the purchase and finance cost. Although electric tractors have high upfront cost, what happens is this 10-year cost difference is minor even with the higher electricity price. So with incentives, the electric tractors has the capacity or the potential to become highly competitive. And additionally, the benefit is reducing energy consumption in battery electric tractors. This could even further reduce the TCO gap over the diesel models. So this figure shows the impact of different policy measures on a 10-year TCO for electric tractors. And what we can see is a couple of blue bars, which is the hypothetical cost reductions from each policy. And the brown bar shows the current extra cost of electric tractors over diesel. And after applying all the proposed measures, the red bar on the end, that highlights the overall improvement. And this result confirmed that the combined policies and incentives then can closer the TCO gap between the electric and the diesel tractors, potentially making electric tractors cheaper in the long run. And this chart shows the different charging behavior and the energy prices when you apply the fast charging or the current overnight charging. And using a 4-hour charging system, which is more expensive, and it would definitely be increasing the fuel cost, even to a unit price. For example, for a per kilowatt hour, it can go to around 20 rupees or 19.5 per kilowatt hour, but that could reduce the opportunity cost by 50% because of the fast charging. They can avail the less waiting time. And at the same time, a discounted charge price, for example, if it comes down to 5 rupee per kilowatt hour, this could lower the fuel cost by about 40% as compared to the baseline. So that is the influence of the discounted charging price. And at the same time, relying on home charging could also reduce the fuel cost, because it is not possible to have a free electricity, but at the same time, for a reduced time and availing it for agriculture, this might raise the opportunity cost. So overall, they have the potential to lower the operational cost than the diesel one. And at the same time, as mentioned by Arvind, currently the incentives which are not offered to the off-road sector, if we include them in the FAME schemes and state level incentives, also the 5% GST as compared to the 12% and the discounted insurance, the electric tractors can reach the cost parity with the diesel models and even more less expensive on a TCO basis. And in addition, what we can see, the incentives on the operational level can also have high benefit if we can have like fast charging capability, and the energy prices becomes very critical moment in determining the total cost. So let me stop here and hand over to Krithika and reiterating the fact that India needs to take advantage of the electrification of this sector, and we need to have more and more electric tractors coming on the field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arvind and Sunita, for this very insightful presentation. And sharing some of the policy gaps as well as what is required to make the electric tractors on par with the diesel tractors. Before I start the panel discussion, I think I would like to briefly introduce our panelists seated here. We have with us a seasoned industry veteran, Mr. I.V. Rao, who is a distinguished fellow at TERI. He spent bulk of his years in Maruti in various functions, be it product development, component localization, and sir has a wealth of experience in the industry. Then we have over here Dr. Mahesh Kumar, Senior Principal Scientist from CSIR. We also have Dr. Mahesh Kumar has done a lot of work in electric tractors, technology development, and as well as the research. We also have with us Pankaj Goyal, who is the founder AutoNxt with us. He's been pioneering some innovative, technologies as well as, bringing out new electric tractor models, and we'll be hearing from him. And finally, we have with us Ishan Sahajpal from CII, who's also going to give us the views from the industry. So with that, I'd like to, start the discussion. And my first question is to you, Mr. Rao. So what do you feel now, just some reflections on the presentation which Arvind had made. What is the priority for electric tractors in terms of what is the policy push that is needed to accelerate electrification?
Yeah, if you look at electrification of tractors, it's also going through all the phases what other segments have gone through for electrification. One of the most important aspect is with electric tractor, the acquisition price goes up drastically, and how we can make this cost lower to facilitate the farmers or whoever is buying the tractor to acquire the tractor. And the second issue would be how the tractor would meet the specific requirements of the user, like farmers, whenever they are using it for actual plowing in the fields. It would meet the number of hours of operation requirements of the farmers. This is going to be a big challenge, and the manufacturer has to weigh between the full fulfillment of the time required versus the size of the battery what they are going to deploy, because if you increase the size of the battery, it's going to further increase the cost of acquisition. And third point would be the charging. And like we talk about most of the two-wheeler electric two-wheeler owners charging their vehicles at home, whether there will be a parallel to that where the tractor can be charged at the farm side, in the farm, using the power connection what is there for the pumping of water. And then added to this is how the concessional rate of power tariff would be applied for electric tractors, which is there for the pumping. Once these three are addressed, which is also, I mean, most of these parameters are there for other electric vehicles also, the farmer will definitely reap the benefits of using electric tractor, because unlike diesel tractors, electric tractors have higher torque at all speeds, and the operation of tractor on the field for plowing is very, very easy. And also, as Mr. Arvind mentioned, the electric tractor eliminates the vibration and other exhaust gases coming onto the driver, which would definitely help the farmers maintain their health. Because I believe in villages, this is one of the major issues to get a driver who can drive the tractor because of all these health-related problems. Definitely, government has a important role in terms of interventions to facilitate attractive pricing of the tractors through either support to the customer going for buying, or to the manufacturer in reducing the sale price. And of course, the infrastructure has to be created for charging.
Thank you so much, sir. And yes, indeed, I completely agree with some of the points that you've made, especially, the operational hours, whether the electric tractors, whether the farmers will get the adequate time to charge, as well as, will be able to meet their farm requirements as well. That's a very important point, and that needs to be looked into further. On that note, I think I'd like to bring in Dr. Mahesh Kumar from CSIR to talk a little bit about, the e-tractors that you have been piloting, and what has been your experience, especially from the field trials, and what role is being played by CSR in commercialization of this particular technology.
Good evening, all of you. First of all, I would like to inform that I have not developed the technology of myself. We are CSIR, and as of all of you know that we have 37 labs across India, and CMRI Durgapur is one of the lab who has developed this technology. And if we go back past to the technology of or history of tractors in India, CSR was the pioneer in India to develop its first indigenous tractor in India. When the whole world denied the technologies, CSR has come up with Swaraj tractor, then Sonalika, and then most recently in 2009, Krishi Shakti. And in this series, we have come up with a new tractor, e-tractor, which I was discussing with Arvindji and Pankajji also, that we have indigenously developed this e-tractor. As far as what you have asked about the comparison between the e-tractor and the IC tractor, of course, I believe personally that e-tractor is much, much superior than the IC tractor. Moreover, if I don't know how many of you have driven the tractors, I myself have tried in my village. It's very difficult to press the brake, first of all. Even if you start the tractor, you can drive the tractor, but stopping is the most difficult part. And when we are pushing, the government is pushing like women should come forward, women are coming in the agriculture sector also. How can we expect a woman can drive a tractor which is so difficult, even a healthy man finds a difficulty in stopping the tractor. So in that series, these e-tractors have much, much superiority. If we, sir, it's talked about the torque. If we talk about the torque and the motors which e-tractors are using, they are using the BLDC motors, and their torque is much, much higher than better than the IC engine based tractors. More importantly, if we talk about the efficiency, fuel efficiency, the e-tractors and diesel-based tractors, they are efficient in almost maximum 45%, 40 to 45%. But e-tractors, they are using the almost more than 85% of their efficient charging. So that is the superiority of e-tractors, and we personally feel that we should put up some kind of policies in front of the government. So the government should come up with the, like sir said, the charging infrastructure. In Delhi, I have seen like 4 or 5 years back, there were so many charging stations in Delhi. But in today's, if we go to the same place where the charging stations were installed, hardly 10% or 20% are working. Most of them are now become the illegal parking places because people are not interested in charging their vehicles, and or they might have, I don't know, something has happened so that these charging stations are not being utilized so well. So unless we develop this charging station very well in the rural areas at the place of usage of these e-tractors, we have to come up with some policy. Of course, the price is another factor compared to the ICE tractors. Government has to push somehow from their own side, provide subsidies, provide better loans or cheaper loans, so that each and every farmer or the farm can use the e-tractor. They can label themselves that, oh, I am the e-tractor user. So that should be the policy that we should, and of course we are talking a lot about environment. So e-tractors definitely play a vital role in curbing the pollutions because diesel is definitely has to be stopped somehow. And diesel in India is flourishing just because of the farmers, and because the farmers using these diesel-based tractors. Believe me, mostly diesels is prevalent because of these tractors only. Otherwise, government can bring up the policy of curbing all the diesel-based vehicles, because everybody who are using the SUVs and all, they can afford the petrol-based vehicles. So, but diesel cannot be stopped unless we completely switch over to EV-based tractors.
Thank you so much. And it was very interesting to hear that CSIR has, developed a women-friendly tractor. The ergonomics are designed so well that women are able to operate it. I think that's definitely the need of the hour if we want to bring in, gender inclusion into the sector. And my other question, now moving on to the next panelist, is for Mr. Pankaj Goyal. So, since you're from the industry, I just wanted to understand, about the cost differential between the diesel tractors as well as electric tractors. And given the fact that, most of the land holdings in India are small and marginal, like 80% of the land holdings are small and marginal, they are in majority. How do you feel that, the farmers will be incentivized to purchase an electric tractor given the cost differential? So if you can throw some light there.
Yes, thank you very much, Krithika. It's a very good question. And thank you, Arvind, for a wonderful, and Sunita ji for a wonderful presentation and bringing those facts. People are not really aware of tractors. So one of our biggest problem is that people have to be made aware that tractors are important. Then coming to your question, Krithika ji, for the price. So the TCO study that you showed, it was done 22, I believe, my discussion with you recently, and it is for a 27 HP equivalent electric tractor. So we don't have reference of many other organizations, so I'll take example of AutoNxt. So I'm representing AutoNxt, I'm co-founder for that. I will take the example of our own tractor. So we were very heavily working on 27 HP tractor till 2020. And from then on, we have moved to bigger frame. And right now, the first tractor that we have launched and certified with the ICCT is a 45 HP tractor. And the reason for that was the savings that you get diesel versus electric is much better in a higher HP tractor. And we are working on bigger frames, and we are finding that it is even better for bigger tractors. So the challenge is only the battery size, because the bigger the tractor, you need to provide the battery for certain number of hours of work. So the TCO which was shown, which is only 3% less compared to diesel, because when it comes to price in case of electric vehicle versus an ICE vehicle, it's always about TCO. So anybody in the industry who's not aware of TCO, I think we've not done our job of awareness. So I'm assuming that everybody here is aware of TCO, total cost of ownership. So the studies that we have done with our tractor versus diesel tractor, the TCO is very, very favorable. Right now, we are having contracts with big companies, which we are signing, where it is primarily being done on TCO. The only challenge that we have is the financing. So financing for EV tractors, the public sector banks or where the more competitive financing terms are still not available to us. If the competitive financing terms are available to us, we see absolutely no issue in terms of being able to pitch the value add or the economy that we can provide to our customers. Coming to small land holdings, yes, 80% of Indian farming is below 2 acres or below 5 acres, where owning a tractor does not make sense. Today, we talk about Uber and Ola, and that we have been hearing for past 5-6 years in the cities, or 7-8 years. Uber and Ola has been the name of the game in villages for tractors. So there is no Uber, there is no Ola, but there is one guy who has a tractor. He does the job for the entire village, or 3 people who do the renting of tractor. I mean, they bring their tractor, they do the job. And this is how it has been for a number of years, because people, the farmers cannot afford, each farmer cannot afford a tractor. Now, the model that can be worked out with electric tractor at panchayat level, at community level, which cannot be done with diesel tractor because of the possibility of, or the issues of theft of diesel. In case of an electric tractor, you can have an electric tractor parked at the panchayat, and the farmers can take it, use it, and put it back. Nobody can steal this electricity from the tractor, right? So the tractor can be brought back. So for specifically addressing the small land holding and the issue of farmers not being able to buy the tractor, or it is not justified for them to own a tractor, it's much better to have electric tractors. Leasing or renting with electric tractor is a very, very attractive business versus diesel, because when a diesel tractor guy comes for 1 acre of rotavator, he charges 800 rupees. While in that 800 rupees, almost 300 or 250 rupees goes into diesel. In case of electricity, it is much, much lower, is negligible. So to make it viable for the small farmer who's barely able to earn, to reduce these 100, 200 rupees, it's a very, very interesting thing. Now, if we move our focus from farmers, small farmers, to what is happening in the biomass industry, biofuel. Government is mandating in entire NCR, government is mandating to shut down the coal-fired furnaces. They are asking to use renewable, which is biomass. Now there's a heavy use of tractors. Now all that ecosystem demands greener fuels, right? Because if you stopping coal and you shifting it to diesel, doesn't make sense, right? So there are a number of things. I think as a manufacturer, as a seller, or right now we have just invented the product, we are starting to sell. We have the TCO, we have the justification, the customer is clearly seeing it, we are able to sign contracts. It's just a matter of few pieces, which Arvind ji has put in his presentation with the various incentives. 12% to 5% GST is one. FAME, not having electric tractor in FAME, government subsidies for diesel tractor versus electric tractors. A number of things where Sunita ji, you put in your report the number of factors to bring down the parity for electric tractors, providing them the level playing field. We are very, very confident that the value add we are able to create. Thank you.
That's very encouraging to hear, Mr. Goyal. And in fact, your point about electric tractors as a service model, that is an interesting point as well. And I believe that definitely could spur traction, among the farmers, especially the small and marginal farmers. I'd like to now bring in Ishan, who's representing CII. So you have worked a lot on, the farm economy as well as crop residue management, as well as done some, as I understand, some field studies. So just wanted to understand a little bit about the farm economy angle. So what do you feel, there is still limited clarity on the purchase patterns of, of tractors. So majority are rented from custom hiring centers. Larger farmers also own tractors. So if you can throw some light on, the purchase patterns, of tractors, as well as what you've been seeing on the field.
Sure. Thank you, Krithika. So CII has been extensively working on crop residue management from last 7 to 8 years. So our major focus is to work with farmers, provide them capacity to use newer tools to manage this rice residue back into the soil. So the program is being going on well, and farmers are actually realizing that the biomass recycling is actually increasing the soil nutrition, and over the course of years, we have seen the farmers are actually reducing the nutrient input, the urea and the DAP input to the soil, and they are actually realizing that the soil quality is improving and the productivity and the yield of the crop is improving. And to come specifically to tractors, there are, as you actually mentioned, there are a lot of farmers which are very small land holding and they don't actually own the tractors, and they are majorly dependent on private entities or some other farmers who will be coming in and doing tillage and sowing for their fields. And Pankaj sir actually mentioned it very well that centralized models like CHCs or cooperatives will be a better option for farmers to utilize these kind of tractors, because farmers now, the agriculture equipment are becoming heavier and more require more power to utilize over the field. The farmers are actually trying to buy more HP tractors like 60 HP or 70 HP tractors, which are very kind of financial burden for farmers as well. And these all equipments, they are only using for 1 or 2 months over the course of year. And agriculture equipment is one thing and tractor is a major cost for them. And if we go for large tractors like 60 HP, once it gets commercialized, the cost will be some 60 to 80% higher than those CI engines. So that kind of model we have to understand the subscription model or CHC model, which will be better for the farmers to utilize these machines. And then government actually provides subsidies to send these groups or CHCs, so that basis utilization of these tractors, so that small and marginal farmers can actually use it, and large farmers can try it out, and over the course of years, if they find it useful, they can buy it out. So these kind of models we have to understand what is the deployment model we have to take part in these clusters. And all this will vary across different states, because Punjab and Haryana is more intensive and more equipment driven. So there is more need. In other parts, there is still farm mechanization is still going on. So there we have to understand different type of models which can be deployed, so that this electric tractor can be scaled on a national level. So this is my take.
Thank you so much. Completely understand and agree with the fact that there are different, farming practices across India, and therefore the use cases of these electric tractors would also need to be studied and delved into in more greater detail. I would like to sort of also bring in Mr. Dr. Mahesh. So I would like to understand what, in terms of functionalities of an electric tractor vis-a-vis a diesel tractor, is an electric tractor capable of performing all the functions, be it plowing, tilling, haulage, or is there any gap on the technology front? Because see, the fact that Arvind mentioned that over 1.6 million, electric vehicles, only 4 are, tractors. So in some sense, the technology has not evolved to that extent, and we are still at the prototype phase. Even the models which have been made by major OEMs, they're either internally using it in their own subsidiary companies or, piloting. So I feel that we haven't sorted the tech yet, and there is a need to have more of these pilots on the ground. But I just wanted to also hear your views on this.
So, as I said previously, that e-tractor can perform the performance is far better than the normal IC tractors. In terms of the field testing, as Pankaj has said, that they have done a lot of field testings. CSIR has done a lot of field testings of their own e-tractors. In fact, we have developed the smaller tractors for marginal farmers who cannot afford to have a large area plowing, but their tractors are being used in the large fields. So of course, and the weight it can lift is up to around 500 kg. single lift off mass is around 500 kg. So they have the capability of doing the same, in fact, more than the work what conventional IC tractors are doing. And it can be used for all type of applications. In fact, e-tractor can also replace the rural transport, as Pankaj has mentioned. So this is because in transport sector still tractors cannot be used illegally, but they are being used illegally. But if we come out with the e-tractors in rural areas, they can be legally be used for the transport sector also. Because in rural areas still we cannot have access to Ola, Uber, the high-end buses. But these e-tractors can have a very vibrationless travel, and people can be very comfortable. And as I said, that it can be driven by the women also. I'm not so I'm sorry that I'm not downgrading the women, but it can be operated by a person like me who doesn't have any strength. You can see like that. So, but in rural areas, like people are so healthy, they can, the men especially, they can drive the tractors, but if the people like me, if I have to operate the tractor, I have to stop the tractor on the road, I can easily operate it. So that's why the e-tractor is much far superior than the normal IC.
Sure. Yes, Mr. Rao, you can.
You said still e-tractors are in prototype stage and none of the manufacturers have come out with the model. The basic problem what we are facing during electrification, which is applicable in case of even other segments also like two-wheelers, three-wheelers and other models, is that all the legacy players have invested a lot of money for compliance to Euro latest emission norms, etc. And they have very smooth running business going on. So they are not under pressure to switch over to electric mobility with all the constraints what we are discussing about electric vehicle adaptation in terms of the acquisition cost and other things. And also the other question you said was that whether electric tractors can perform all the functions equally well. I think electric tractors, if you compare the same like to like, would do better than IC tractors. So once somebody comes into the market with electric tractors and there is good traction, I'm sure all other current tractor manufacturers will fall in line, because it's much easier for existing tractor manufacturer to adopt a electric powertrain onto their tractor compared to a new startup like AutoNxt. We have done everything from scratch. It's much easier for them. Actually, they can do it much faster. So I'm sure they are all working on their prototypes and they are waiting for opportune time to launch.
Mr. Goyal, you also wanted to,
Krithika ji, you are the host. I cannot take this sentence that the tractors are not there. We are there. So just wanted to counter you on that.
Technically, right.
Yes. Yeah. We are starting to be there. And I think Dr. Mahesh, with his extensive work on electric tractors for so many years, has answered the power-related things. Rao Saab gave the perspective of the industry, strategic perspective, why the big players are not yet there. And I can assure you, 45, 50 HP, 60 HP, anyone wants, we can do the comparison. We have beaten electric diesel tractors, point blank. If you go on YouTube, you see these tug of war kind of things, fun things with tractors in the village exhibitions and stuff. And we were doing the farming in one of the farmers, so just 1 minute on that. And this guy said, tug of war karte hain. I said, okay. I was not there, our guy was there, I had not allowed it actually. So he did it, and we knew that we don't have to even do it. So the diesel tractor was being pulled like this, as if an elder person is doing arm wrestling with a, young boy. It was like that. So no problem with power.
That's very reassuring to hear that electric tractors can perform the functionalities of a diesel tractor. In fact, much better than that. And also, why the larger OEMs are, still sort of having a wait and watch approach. On that note, I'd also like to hear a little bit more from Ishan, because you've worked, you understand the farm economy and the farmers' angle very well. So recently we had our Haryana convening, and where we also discussed the electric tractors. We had a specific session on that. There, one of the representatives had made a remark that if you compare the consumers, farmers are in fact one of the most experimental ones and are very open to trying and testing new technologies. So what is your, point of view when it comes to, have you seen some appetite from the farming community to purchase an electric tractor, given that we can incentivize or provide some subsidies or purchase incentives for them?
Yeah. The farmer will be willing to try the tractors in their fields, and they will give you a prototype solutions also. They will do the iterations, they will give you suggestions how to improve this tractor, and which parts of the tractor can be improved or made more suitable for farmers and using. But major concern from their side might be, one is the financial incentive they are getting or not, on the infrastructure support, if there is some support in village also. The charging is one, the maintenance, then the servicing, all the infrastructure requirement have to be met by the farmers, because in the rural cluster all those aspects come into picture. And for them, if in the harvest season or in the sowing season, if the tractor broke down, it will be a major loss for them. And once it happens in a village, the whole village or the surrounding 2-3 village won't taking the risk. So that kind of precedence we have to set. It is working and it will work. Yeah.
Understood. Yes, Dr. Mahesh, please go ahead.
I would like to add one more thing, unless the conventional tractors, they use diesel to operate, these e-tractors, when not in use for the farm applications, they can be used for the vehicle to load applications. For example, if you have to run say flour mill or any machinery at home or in the farm, they can easily run that, and you can just simply charge it by solar and or the grid power. They are much cheaper than the normal diesel operated tractors. So that is one of the greatest advantage of these vehicle to load applications of e-tractors for rural areas.
Yes, I would also like to bring the discussion somewhere on the associated infrastructure that needs to develop. So let's talk about it, charging a little bit. So what do you feel, given the fact that there is, even in the charging infrastructure is mainly limited to urban areas, and it is not at all scaled up in the rural areas. When we're talking of penetrating or increasing electrification in this segment, this is one of the biggest impediments. So how do you feel the charging infrastructure is going to evolve? Is there some way we can, sort of integrate with the existing policies, be it the Kusum scheme, which is a specific component on, putting up DRE plants? So is there any way where we can dovetail with the existing policies, A, and B, how do you sense this charging infrastructure evolving for electric tractors? Please go ahead.
Okay, so in charging, I have a different view. We have a tendency that whenever we get something free, we don't care about that. We cannot entirely and rely on the government subsidy and government infrastructure, that government will come and put up a charging station or a solar farm in our homes or in our villages or in our farms. If we depend on that, government can put that. But you believe me, in couple of years, those charging stations will be filled up. 100% will be filled up, because we won't care. We'll just utilize and we'll just come home. Unless we develop these facilities at the community level, even if the community level people can contribute 1 rupees, 100 rupees, 1000 rupees from their own, it will show their belongingness. And when the belongingness comes, then care automatically comes out. So unless this kind of community level, if you have to develop this infrastructure, charging infrastructure at the community level or at the village level or the panchayat level, it has to be based on the contribution. Of course, the government can push up the contribution from their own side, 10%, 20%, but we cannot entirely say that, oh, come, you have to set up we cannot ask our MP or say Vidhayak to develop that solar farm in our home. Then it will be a failure basically. That's my statement.
Just a point on that. So our tractor, again, I talk about AutoNxt tractor. I'm sorry, I don't have reference for others. So although I'm supposed to represent. So we have taken care of this aspect because we know that in rural areas, the charging infrastructure is not there. So the way the tractor is designed is it has got the onboard charger. All you need at home is a AC line. Everything else is on the tractor. So it's on board. So all you need is a 30 amperes connection, single phase connection, and it can charge your tractor in 6 hours. If you are able to give a 3-phase supply, which is typically available in the farm for irrigation pump, then you can charge it in 2 hours 40 minutes. A 38.4 kilowatt hour battery. So it can be built in the product. So you don't look for these additional infrastructure issues. And we can get started much faster and more easily with this.
Where will the farmer charge his electric tractor? If I were to just put that up front, you feel that, every farm has a connection for running a solar, for running a pump set. Do you feel that existing pump set connection can be tapped, where he can also use that for charging his tractor? Or, will that, there needs to be an entirely different set of, charging system planned for the farmer?
So the irrigation pumps, so if you go in the farming area and you find these 3 cable lines, the small poles, and it's called in UP, the area where I am, it's called Jungle Ki Bijli. And that's a separate line which is active from say morning 6-7 o'clock to evening till it is dark, and they cut it off, so it's separate, and which is what is the subsidized power for farming. So there you find that alternate farms have these tube wells, irrigation tube wells, and so the availability of electricity in the farm area, especially in the farming leading states, whether it is UP, Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, Telangana, all these places we've been in interior of the farms, this electricity is available. And it is no more the issue that in interiors the electricity is not available. Yes, it is not 100%, but largely it is available. In the villages, in the farmer's house, electricity is available. Now, there will be a lot of the farmers who have air conditioner fitted in their house. Refrigerator, I'm sure everybody. And the electricity is available in the villages also. The shutdowns are much less because now India is having generation capacity which is more than the consumption that we have. And in last 5 years, we have added almost 20% of the generation capacity of the total generation capacity. So there is work to be done, but it is starting to be there. And with single phase, they can charge the tractor at home also. But still there's work to be done.
Mr. Rao has something to.
Sorry. We were talking about continuous availability of the tractor to the farmer when he needs it. This can be addressed by swapping of the batteries. If the system what is there on the tractor is compatible for swapping, that would be one way of reducing the downtime for the user.
Say one more thing, yeah, we are happy that you have an onboard charger, and but it's good that if we should not entirely depend on the household or domestic or industrial electricity, because industrial electricity also is adding to the environmental burden if we go about the thermal power station. So it's better if we can integrate the solar and the non-conventional power also with the normal charging thing. So that will be like it will more be greener and more environmental friendly. So solar, I think still we should develop and should focus that we should have some solar farms at some central places where at least 10-12 tractors can be charged simultaneously and they can be utilized in the fields.
That's a very well-made point. And Mr. Rao, I completely understand and see that battery swapping could also be a solution for the farmers. I think we have a very limited time now left, but I would like to now open the floor to questions. I see some hands up. So I would request each one of you to introduce yourself, and please also direct the name of the panelist to which the question is addressed.
Hi, my name is Rakesh. I have a lot of farmland at my hometown. So I would first like to emphasize on the point which Krithika was trying to make. As a user, since last 4 or 5 years, I'm looking for an electric tractor. I do not have any offering available. Today is the day when I came to know about the AutoNxt. I'll explore more. Maybe we'll connect offline as well. Okay. So you have a customer standing here. Second,
Tractor also.
sorry.
CSIR tractor also, Prima.
Okay, so we'll explore both. We have a competition as well, which is good. So next point is when we were talking about the charging. So I already have a solar pump setup at my farmhouse, which is mostly lying idle because I don't need irrigation all the time. Okay, so as Krithika was saying, there are converters available which can be kind of put in place of VFD. Maybe we can have some kind of changeovers over there. For the idle time, I can keep my tractor on charge there always, right? So that I don't even lose that production, because most of the time that production which could happen is wasted basically. So that is one suggestion from my side, because I'm already feeling that like, okay, I'm not using irrigation for all the time, but I could generate so many units in one day, which is basically wasted. That's one. Number two is like nobody knows, so you need a better marketing actually. So so that people know. And somebody was talking about the subsidies and all available as well, right? Haryana has already introduced the subsidy of 50% on the electric tractors. Most of the people doesn't know. Even if they know, like me, we don't have an offering available. So that's the point. Sure.
We had another question. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Soham Shah. I'm from P Manifold Business Solutions. I had one question. We all talked about the benefits of electric tractors and having like more operational benefits than the diesel tractor. But if we look at the costing part of that, initially we know we might have more capex than the operation charge for setting up this infrastructure. But with the due course, we might increase the operational cost, because we know the farmers are using this tractor for very intensive work. If we may consider the plogging of land and the conditions in which the land is being plogged. Sometimes we have the high water retention soil where these tractors need to plow the land. So how do we reduce the operational cost with the due course of the time? And if we talk about the availability of electricity, as sir told about the electrical lines that are already present that have subsidized electricity running into it. So are there any other modes of generating electricity rather than using the electricity from the irrigation pump? We could generate the electricity from water of that irrigation pump itself to reduce that cost also. So is there any such methods that are available for that?
So I can take the first part. If so, you talked about in the long run the cost will go up and intensive use, right? Actually, I also happen to own an electric car, and the more I use it, the more it justifies the higher cost that I paid. So, and to our customers also, we say that if your hours of usage in the year are below certain number of hours, then that additional capital burden does not make sense for you, very transparently. So the more you use, the more electric makes sense, because then you save more, diesel versus electric. So that is actually the counter. On the other part, maybe Doc Saab is a better person in terms of technology.
Yeah, in fact, I could not listen to your because there was an urgent call from ministry. So could you repeat your question, please?
My question was, if we are using the electricity from the subsidized lines that are present in the villages for charging these our electric tractors and electricity from the connections that we have from the irrigation pumps, why not use the water from that irrigation pump itself to generate the electricity that can be used to charge those tractors?
So if you use the same water which you are using in the pump, then you have to use additional, and we don't have that much efficient motors nowadays available, which can just use the flow of that water to convert that into higher capacity of voltage. So you cannot generate, so it can run like a few LED bulbs, but it cannot run a few higher machinery, or it cannot charge a bigger battery.
So, are there any alternate systems to generate these electricity,
So
keeping it in a renewable aspect?
solar is the only solution right now, and maximum what you can do is that generally people are skeptical of using solar is that because solar is not available during the night time. So for that nowadays there are redox flow batteries are coming up in the market where they are very simple to use. They have a lifetime of more than 25 years. It's a fire and forget. You don't have to do any maintenance. Just install them along with your solar farm so that the electricity will be available throughout the night time also.
So I think the timer has beeped, and that is our cue to close the discussion. Any more questions, we can take it offline. There's one, this is the last question, and with that, we should, I think, close the session. Please go ahead with your question and keep it brief.
Thanks. So when we saw the coming of electric vehicles, it was with the e-rickshaws that everybody was trying to make was trying to get a motor, a differential, a handlebar together, weld their own frame, and start an electric vehicle company. And then slowly and steadily, laws came into place where above a certain speed, above a certain wattage, registration is required, and below of that, we have a huge gambit of brands who have their own electric cycles or electric vehicles which don't have to follow any standards per se. But in tractors, the farmers would really want to have certain quality assurance, and with all the startups sort of, trying to get into the market. But I know of one, Sukoon Solutions, I think, has been in the market with electric tractors for quite a while. Last I remember is about 5 or 6 years they've been in the market. But still, I don't know if standards for electric tractors have been set yet. So a question to both Pankaj sir and Dr. Mahesh.
All CMVR rules are in place for certification of electric tractors also. What is still not final is the certification of e-tractor as a agriculture equipment for getting the incentives and other things which are applicable for agriculture tractors. As far as your question is concerned, technical requirements are well defined, and the ICCT and ARI do the required testing to certify the electric tractor.
And
So
how are they different from the IC tractors?
So e-rickshaw is like L3, and then L5 is that normal three-wheeler category. Tractor falls under L7. And so there is a clearly defined standard and we have taken approval from ICCT. So there are standards. Now what sir is saying is there are some requirements from government to prove the tractor for agriculture purpose. There is an institute called CFM TTI.
For availing the incentives, basically.
Yeah, for availing the test standards are yet to be cleared. So they have a draft now. So the standard is to be cleared for electric tractor to get the certificate.
Okay, thank you so much.
Last point I would like to add.
Please.
What is fear is like just like Jugaad technology should not come out that people can assemble tractor of their own, just put up a battery and start working.
No,
So that is impossible right now. Yeah, you can.
Unlike two-wheelers what we have, it is very difficult to configure a e-tractor.
Yes.
It's very difficult. I know how much they have struggled to come to this stage.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of factors which have
It
to
is
be
not
come
easy.
out. Yeah. So e-rickshaw, it can travel like a smooth road very nicely, but it cannot run on a speed breaker. So once a speed breaker comes, even the e-rickshaw, it fumbles. So in the tractor has to move in the field, in the mud. So it's very difficult to like put up a jugaad technology in that e-tractor things.
Thank you so much. Thank you. A big round of applause for all the panelists. Wonderful discussions, and I hope we can push the agenda of electric e-tractors forward. Thank you so much. Thank you.